Welcome back. So it's time now to visit God's own country, the United States of America, well, from our global headquarters here in Lagos, for a scrutiny of that process that will see the election of America's next president. So it's being asked, will Kamala trump Donald? We're going to see how it plays out. Will it be an election that will be called within a matter of days, as we saw in 2016, or will it take a longer period, as we saw when Bush went against, I believe, Al Gore many years back down the line, where it took weeks before the election was called? What are the other issues that are forming the decider between the two candidates, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris? Let's have this conversation together this morning. And joining us, first of all, we have Dr. Tokunbo Olorundami, a lecturer at the School of Humanities, York, St. John University, York, United Kingdom. He's also a political strategist. We also have Mr. Sylvester Okere, a public affairs analyst who joins us from the United States of America. Both men join us virtually this morning. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning to you from the U.S.
I'm going to start with you, Mr. Okere. You're joining us from the U.S. As a lot has been said about both candidates, Donald Trump surviving so many challenges, assassination. He has even gone through a treason trial. Kamala has also, been projected to be coming in strong as a former prosecutor, and particularly did well, during the debate. What is your reading of this process, first of all, before we delve into the issues?
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. And this is a discussion that I love so much because I know that Nigeria will pay so much attention on the U.S. election. There is a quote, a saying that says that when America sneezes, the world will catch cold. This election is the most consequential election in the U.S. history. And it's very, very important. The stakes are high everywhere, in as much as polls, being generated. Some are fake and some are real. But today will be the defining day. And like you rightly said, I just hope and pray that result will be just as it is, because this is a country that monitors elections or try to supervise elections. If we can't get it right here, I don't know why we are doing it to the other part of the world that we label as third world. So after the election, at the right time, everything should be out so that people know who is the winner, and the country will go ahead.
Dr. Olorundami, I'm going to ask you to react to the same question. For the record, let's just mention that Mr. Sylvester is joining us at very great inconvenience. It's actually 1 a.m. right now in the United States of America, in Maryland, where he is, and we appreciate him for the sacrifice. So, Dr. Olorundami, perhaps you have a reaction to some of what Mr. Sylvester has said, and your reading of that process so far, even perhaps from the time of the primaries up until now.
Yes, thank you very much, and good morning. Yes, it's quite early in most part of the Northern Hemisphere. I do agree with Mr. Sylvester's postulations about America's expectations from the elections, and the observation of many parts of the world. People tend to pay a lot of attention to the United States of America because of its global positioning and the impact of having someone who may be a bit too authoritative, dictatorial in the White House. Over the years, that has resulted in implosions in many countries around the globe. So we are interested, not just from the expert point of view, but also as cohabitants of this planet, from different sectors, different industry. Harris came in a bit late, but she's picked up the pace and has taken the challenge right to Trump, who was having almost like a free ride earlier on because of the poor performance of Biden in the interactions that they first had. My postulation is that it's going to be a very tight race. The result will come in late. There are certainties that the result will come in a bit late because of voter apathy. And a lot of people will also stay away, not knowing where to put their allegiance, so to say. Because if you look at the patterns of voting in the past, it's also quite close, even with Trump and Biden. So we should expect nothing less in this round of election. My feeling is that because of Harris's involvement and the fact that America is about to take a major new turn, the election will either go, to her side or far away from her, to making a statement, in readiness for having the first, female president. So it's a bit undecided. It's not quite clear, and I think both candidates know that it's a tight race.
All right, Mr. Akere, let's bring it back to you. Before we bring it to the broader global space where we'll talk about foreign policy and impact and all of that, maybe let's stay within the Americas. So we see Trump is high on immigration. Harris, on the other hand, issues about abortion. We can go on and on about the issues, but the bigger issue is the issue of the economy at the end of the day. So my question, maybe let's get to this. What does a Harry presidency mean, or what will a Harry presidency mean for America, not the global community now? And what will a Trump presidency, Harris presidency mean for the American citizens and a Trump presidency? We've seen Trump before. We've never seen Harris. So if you were to project what it will mean to the American community, the American citizens, the American states, what will it mean before we talk about all of us outside America?
Thank you. Yeah, that's a great question, and that's what I try to make. Personally, I would want every American, every eligible voter to understand that the Trump comeback will mean a great comeback for the economy, for America, a great comeback on security, border security, a great comeback on Israel's borders and around the world. We see what is going on in the Middle East. We see also Russia and Ukraine. To an extent, Kim Jong-un himself is mobilizing his military. So Trump comeback is a blessing. And I pray that God has designed him for this particular purpose. Whereas a Harris comeback is the opposite. It's going to mean great economic dwindling and also weakness, incompetence, and appeasement. Because seeing what they have done in the last 4 years, nothing positive. Even Abraham Accord that Trump enacted or formed was destroyed. And if Trump was the president, the whole world knows that what is going on in Ukraine today wouldn't have taken place. What is going on in Israel today wouldn't have taken place. Inflation that is in America today wouldn't take place. So our life is on the ballot. Our groceries, how we raise our children, transgenderizing innocent little kids in America today is on the ballot. So while Harris is projecting abortion, even though Supreme Court have made a decision that the states should take care of this, and that's the way it's supposed to be. You can't force lifestyle on people. What you want may not be what I want. What goes on in Vegas should stay in Vegas. Maryland, where I live, can choose how they want to handle abortion. We can't force it on anybody. And also, you have illegals coming in and you want maybe transgender options for me to pay for it. So none of those things should be forced on people. So Trump comeback will be a blessing to America and to every reasonable family in America.
All right. Okay. Let me stay with you on that. Apparently, you're a Trump supporter. If I guess that's what I will presume from the statement you made. But people have seen Trump as a threat to democracy, that he tried to upturn the election because he did not win in 2020. I want you to speak to that as well, because elections were called. Just hold on. I remember in the case of Al Gore, when he was when they went to the Senate, eventually said, "Look, I do not agree with the result of this election, but I accept statesmanship." But no, Trump refused to agree to that effect. I don't know where you got your data from to feel that Trump is going to manage the economy better, because people have criticized him.
He had done it before.
Just hold on. People have criticized him for not sometimes understanding the economics of economy, if you allow me to use that word. Because even things like tariff, even some of his followers are confused about who really is impacted by tariff. I can go on and on and on and on. So when people say Trump is an existential threat to democracy, doesn't that concern you beside the pros you've seen? What are the cons you've seen?
People have said a lot about Trump being an existential threat, but talking about democracy, Harris herself was not elected. That is number one existential threat. That's number one abuse of democracy. Normally, the party nominate and elect somebody. She was not. Two, secondly, freedom of speech, the censorship. There is no democracy. The essence of democracy is freedom of speech. These are the people killing the freedom of speech. Nobody, because you don't want your opponent to speak, then you tag something on them. After the election, remember they created a board they call disinformation and misinformation. All of those is to intimidate and silence people. So if you're talking about democracy, people should really be, democracy should be exercised. And the candidate herself should be elected by the party. The shenanigan brought her up there. So before, you know, my father always said this, when you're pointing a finger at someone, the rest points back at you. What they are attacking Trump, accusing Trump, is what they themselves are doing professionally. You understand?
All right. I'm going to bring this to you now, Mr. Dr. Olorunda. I'd like you to respond to the same issues, really, that Mr. Okere has raised. And particularly, I'd like to ask if we would be surprised by Harris' presidency. Should a Harris presidency be judged by what we've seen a Biden do? Will she be a departure from the norm of the last 4 years in character and in policy disposition towards those major issues: abortion, the economy, immigration, and even foreign policy?
It's hard to respond to Mr. Sylvester, who is a obvious hardcore Trump supporter. However, I will speak to the facts of my observations. Your question is that will Harris represent the old guard, which she's been part of, or bring about something new? I think Harris will represent something new because it's only natural. You can predictively say that it's going to be a natural occurrence because you expect a kind of fresh sense of ideas and her own persona to come through in her administration. And for one who's come from a background of legal practice, of being a prosecutor and all of that, I expect to see the ascendancy of the rule of law. I expect to see the ascendancy of doing things by the books and, playing by the rules. With the Trumpers who believe that Harris has come through the back door and was not elected, if you look at the rules of the American electoral process, I don't think she has broken anyone, otherwise she wouldn't be on the ballot. Whether she's gone through the long stretch of the rope or the short end of the race, the key thing here now is that Americans will now decide if they want her or not. And beyond the rhetorics of the American everyday life, there is a much global impact that most people are looking at. And I like the way Jeff put it. There are some major concerns about the way Trump does his business. perhaps the advantage we will accord Harris at this time is that we have not really tested her at the presidency, but Trump has been tested, and we do know his kind of approach: brute force, making statements that the initiated ones know that will not hold water. For example, saying you will end inflation, you will end the war in Ukraine. Certainly somebody is going to give. And these factors make it sound as though he's ignorant of what really should go on in international diplomacy. These trends are not coming true with Harris. Yes, there's this concern of everyday life and threats to humanity by some of the extreme right notions about abortion. These issues are also very well framed in European politics, but they're not.
But in terms of those foreign policy issues that you mentioned, there seems to be a fair consensus that while Trump was president, there was a firmness around them such that, for instance, Russia would not have attacked Ukraine if he was president. He ensured the commitment to from countries to reach their NATO financial target, which saw a new era come to NATO. So are we going to be seeing that same firmness in terms of foreign policy, the Israel-Gaza war, Russia-Ukraine, NATO? Will we see it under a Harris presidency?
You will see it. I can't speak for Harris particularly. You will see it as an American approach to international diplomacy. You see, what Trump brought and why I think a lot of Americans and a lot of observers are particularly uptight about Trump is that he went out of the books. And some people like him for that, some hate him for that. He didn't play by the rules. He played by his own rules. Trump is a businessman, and he seemed to approach issues like his business. He finds out what each party wants. He finds out the largest party. He pleases the largest party, gets results. That's the approach. This does not particularly solve the problem. It only pushes it back, it backdates it, and you find out that he's applying that force of power in his disposition to getting results. That may not be something we will see with the Harris presidency because, like I said, she coming from the legal background, there's that tendency that she will want to play more by the rules. We may see a lot more inclusion, especially with relation to African participation in global matters, and things like that. We wouldn't see that attitude of dominance that we see with Trump, that braggadocious attitude. Africa is a shithole country. Oh, Peru is just a piece of shit on the water. That sort of approach to thinking is quite common with the Trump administration, and in international diplomacy, that sort of put people off. This is where I'm coming from as to the firmness or looseness of her coordination of engagement with other countries and international diplomacy. I am not quite sure what we will see, but I will have a sense of the fact that Harris will play by the rules. She will sound more, presidential, and she will sound more coordinated, and not just applying brute force as you can and as you have and as you want. Just. All
right, Mr. Tokumbo, let me take you to Mr. Okere. Mr. Okere, on this particular one, I'm looking at Trump and I'm looking at Harris and I'm looking at the world, the complexity of the world we live in. We have a war around Israel, in Gaza and Lebanon. We have the Russia-Ukraine war. We have other instability around the world. So I'm looking at both candidates and saying, who does the world need now? Somebody who is diplomatic or somebody who has that brute force like Donald Trump? And for the record, you said she was not elected. That's not entirely correct. She was confirmed by the delegates to be nominated as the substantive nominee of the Democratic Party after Joe Biden couldn't continue in the race. If not, she will not be on the ballot. So I don't think you were entirely correct on that one. So let's talk about who the world needs right now, especially when it has to do with immigrants in America. I want you to speak to that.
Well, anyway, let me correct that, because I used to be African diaspora to the National Democratic Party. There's no candidate that was not voted for. I voted for Obama, and I was Obama's super delegate. Harris was not elected. But responding to the question on immigration,
I think she was affirmed as by the delegates to be a nominee of the party. That is
thank
fact.
you, but that's not the normal process.
I know. I needed to put the fact right so that we don't misinform the people. All right.
Thank you. We're on the same page. She wasn't elected, but having been, I was a Nigerian immigration officer for 18 good years. An immigration process is the same everywhere. The only issue many people are concerned is because of immigration. And Trump said he doesn't want illegal immigration. We need to know the difference between immigration, legal immigration, and non-illegal. Illegal and non-illegal immigration. For instance, in Niger, I used to work in Kano State, mega trade border. We have people that we are preventing from coming in. Even your next door neighbor, you don't keep your door open. I don't know why people should be bothered about the immigration issue. And how is the immigration issue policy, Democrat or Republican, which one is benefiting African countries and so on? So what Trump is doing to protect the country is needed. We see people coming in, invading the country. Some of them are criminals. Look at a lot of rape. 2 days ago, I think on Sunday in New York, an adult raped 5-year-old, and this is an illegal immigrant. So there is need to protect the country, and he was not asking everybody in America to leave. You understand? So what he's doing is right. So people that are afraid of that.
Mr. Okere, I'm taking you up because you're a Trump supporter. So no. Well, no, hold on. No reason. My apologies. When you say it's totally despicable to rape a child, but we also have white people going into schools to shoot people and kill them in their numbers. Those records are there. So you need to be balanced in your looking at the issues of crime. Putting all crimes in America on immigrants, I don't think is entirely in a good place.
No, the point I'm making, illegal immigration is what he's against. Even when
you're now dovetailing it into issues of crime. You're saying illegal immigration, and you gave an example of what an immigrant did. I'm saying their citizens go kill themselves or kill their people, children in schools as well. So let's be very clear.
Yeah, being clear on that, illegal immigration anywhere, no country in the world does that. Nigeria doesn't do it. I'm an Igbo man, right? Yes, a few months ago, we were crying about harassment. These are people from within the same Nigeria. So why we are now against a country being protected? America first before any other place. When you are in an airplane, first of all, they're going to show you how to mask yourself before you even mask your infant baby. So we need to first of all protect the nation, country first, before we now start talking about any other person. Nobody said don't come, but come in legally. And there are people who have been here for years in process. Then all of a sudden you are bringing people in because of, you want to benefit from election and that. And that's why they are fighting voter ID. If you don't have intention of using the illegal immigrants vote, you will not fight voter ID, because even 21-year-old need a present license before you buy alcohol. You need a driver license before you get into a car and start driving. It's election. Why is it different that we cannot, use ID to cast votes? So I support the immigration issue that Trump has his own policy. And looking at it, though, many people supporting Kamala Harris, they are not supporting her because she is competent. They are not supporting her because she knows what she's doing. In as much as you might view it because I'm a Trump supporter, seeing his last administration and seeing what he can do, then we know that his comeback will be a blessing to the world. We need peace in the world. We need peace in America.
Yes, indeed, Mr. Okere. We know that the U.S. election, is always an event that comes with emotions that pits many people across the globe against themselves. And, 2020 is all too familiar in our minds. Jeffrey's question was more on a global perspective, that which kind of president does the world need now? Would it be a firm president who comes with brute force, using the words of Dr. Olorundami, or one that is more presidential, more democratic in the outlook of Kamala Harris? But let's bring it home now to look at what a Trump presidency or Harris presidency would mean for for Nigeria? Harris pretty much untested, but we have had a Trump presidency with, evidence pointing to the attendant impact on bilateral relations with Nigeria. Dr. Olorodami, what do you project it would be for either side for a return of the Trump presidency, or an ushering in of a Harris presidency? What would it mean for Nigeria?
For me, right?
Yes, Dr. Olorodami.
Oh, okay, because I didn't hear what my brother was saying. I don't know. There's a technical issue.
Okay, yes, thank you. So, first, can I comment on this immigration matter?
Yes, go ahead.
Because, I really felt a bit pushed to the other side by Mr. Sylvester with the notion that immigrants, linking immigrants to some of the crimes being committed in the American society. This happened just a few weeks or a week or so, to the UK elections, where a black chap, hurt some kids in the UK, and that resulted in an implosion that almost became a racial war in the UK. Within days, everywhere was turned upside down. However, the rhetoric and rumors were that he was an immigrant and he's of Muslim background and all of that. And before you knew it, people bought into that and started turning against, their neighbors and friends and all that. And all of this was a lie. This chap was a Christian and he was born in the UK. So we need to be very careful about linking crimes to immigrants and things like. I'm an immigrant myself. I came into Europe over 15 years ago, and I have since become part of this system. So we need to be very careful about that. Trump himself, historically is an immigrant. Kamala Harris, we're all immigrants. If you look at it very critically, we have moved from one part of the world to the other. While Trump will be willing to put up physical structures like walls to prevent Mexicans from getting into America, I see that as not understanding how immigration and the gaps within the porous and tight systems, how these gaps become accessible to people who come into different countries. Those walls they've not made much impact in stopping people. They're just physical artifacts to show division. And in the world we live today, I think we want to see those walls, the type of walls, come down. And proper integration and inclusion, global integration and inclusion. Because if countries are better fitted to support their citizens, people perhaps will just go across the border for holidays. So back to the issues. I think that Harris will. I mean, she's already said it, that she would reinforce the staffing and infrastructure for border control. While Trump, he's been talking tough that he will send people back to their countries and all of that. That may work, that may not work. But I mean, if these people are the same people who will vote, certainly that will produce some kind of results. So what will this mean for Africa? A Harris administration, I expect that we will see a continuation of what Biden is doing. And under Biden, we have seen Biden looking for avenues and opportunity for the African voice to become more pronounced in international discussions, for the African voice to become more included in taking international directions. For Trump, I expect that he will support very firmly and very strongly countries that he feels a need to. And those he feels a need not to, he will also apply the same kind of force in pushing them down and pushing them out and shutting them up, because that, for me, I think is just the Trump method. He finds out what the interest of the American country is, and he will go with that forcefully and to the letter. He puts American first in his time as in his first coming over any and any other issue. And I think that in this second coming, he will only just push those frontiers further. In Nigeria, for example, we have not seen the full benefit of the 2015 AGOA, that is African Growth and Opportunity Act, something like that, you know. We should see more of that, where trade and investment between Nigeria and the United States become a lot more easier to connect and coordinate. We still have all these tariffs and bottlenecks to trade. You know, I should expect that somebody can grow yam in Nnewi and send it down to California and get some money for it with ease. So creating those channels for the African continent, for me, I think is key. I would expect that under whoever, Trump or Harris, you know, the energy transition, you know, initiative would take root in Africa and in Nigeria particularly.
All right. Whether it's a Trump or a Harris presidency, we hope for a healthier world with a healthier balance of power that is, you know, favorably disposed to every country of the globe. We wait to see what Tuesday will unfold to be coming, and indeed the coming weeks, whether it will be a Trump or a Harris presidency. I want to thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time on the program. We've been talking with Dr. Tokunbo Olorundami, lecturer at the School of Humanities, York, St. John University, York, United Kingdom. He's also a political strategist. And we've also been talking with Mr. Sylvester Okere, a public affairs analyst who joins us from the United States. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you.
Time now to switch to the softer side of things as we look at the rising fame of Nollywood and the challenges and opportunities within. Stay with us, we'll be right back.